What's going on, guys? The Red Politician here, and today was a massive victory for us in the state Supreme Court of Virginia. They did the right thing, and they struck down this ridiculous, insane 10 to 1 map. And here's the thing: the map in itself isn't technically illegal, which is insane because how egregious it is. But the way that the language of the ballot initiative was misleading, which it obviously was, and I believe they deemed it illegal. And also, they violated the state constitution by like how they proceed in like the state assemblies and stuff. They just violated it multiple times. And again, I said, I thought it was like maybe a 20 to 30% chance they strike it down. Then like the oral arguments, by late July, late April, I was like, okay, maybe it's like 50-50. And like the last day or two before they made the decision, I'm like 60-40, they'll turn it down, and they did. Now, the state Supreme Court's like mostly conservative, and like I think the other three, there's like 4 conservative, 3 liberal. Now, the conservatives aren't like hardliners, but they're somewhat conservative, and they just struck down this map, which gave me hope. They gave me hope, and now it turned out to be right. Now, Democrats, they're coping. They said, oh, well, we left ours into the ballot initiative, this, that, and the other. It's like, okay, use like the most misleading language, campaigning ever, like using Donald Trump to say, yes, vote yes on the initiative. It's like the Republicans did too with like the mail-in thing with Obama, but like Democrats is a whole different level. And I think the funny thing is the Democrats spent 70 minimum to damn near $100 million on this race, which again, Republicans have a buttload of money. They spend like 30 million. They should have spent more, to be honest. Even if this turned out to be in our favor, they should have spent more money. But they spent all this money, which they can't afford, by the way, especially as the midterms are coming up when the House, like every single House seat counts. And the turnout, it could be a little wishy-washy. Again, we'll see. But like again, they can't afford to waste money, and they spent almost possibly upwards of $100 million just for nothing. I mean, that is awful. And most of that Democrat House money, the money that they got is mostly House money for House races, and they just wasted it all. I mean, it was just, and again, just seeing the cope online about Democrats and say how this is unfair, it's just ridiculous. I mean, I've seen like just full on meltdowns, like people in their cars, like, oh, we could easily look up the Supreme Court nominees like houses online and their address. I mean, just full on schizophrenic, just freakouts. I mean, it's just insane. But we understand how these people operate. I mean, they're fully just insane people. But this is kind of a side note. And again, I'm not expecting to get a 4-0 map before the midterms, but there's a chance. And if the state legislature moves here in like the next couple days to maybe like a week or two, I think there's a shot. The Utah primaries, I think, are kind of a couple months away still, so there's definitely a chance here. But one of the leading justices that gave Democrats a vote sink, a free House seat, apparently was having an affair with one of the attorney generals or lawyers arguing for this 3-1 map. So yeah, and she resigned her position in the state Supreme Court. And I think there's definitely grounds to revisit this case and overturn this House seat because this is ridiculous. And Democrats are saying, well, either way, we're going to win it because, Salt Lake City, is Democrat and this and the other. It's like, okay, yes, they vote, more, Democrat, top of the ticket, but like down ballot, a lot of these voters vote a lot more Republican. So you have like a blue wave year, Republicans will probably hold on in the 4th district. So yeah, I mean, you can say that, but it's not going to happen. So again, I think there's a shot. I think it's like a 20 to 30% chance they might overturn this Utah House seat. I wouldn't really hold my breath on it, but there's a chance. That'd be another House seat in our favor, or at least like lean to likely maybe. So again, this is like some of the predictions. And again, crystal ball does not really favor Republicans when it comes to these type of things, and they show Republicans at 211 to 208. And by the way, this is not taking into account the Deep South, by the way, redistricting, by the way. And now inside, like, this is a little lofty because I seen like the map with like inside, like they had like Tom Perry and like Pennsylvania's 10th holding on, like couple lofty House seats. It's like, yeah, I don't see Republicans holding on to some House seats that Um, I think they had like him, like a couple Republican, like both Republicans holding on the other. Like I just don't see that. Even though it's very good for Republicans, but it's a little lofty. But we're gonna look at the map, and as you can see, some people will say this is a little ridiculous. I want to explain why this isn't ridiculous. And so yeah, again, we're gonna fill in. Actually, yeah, we're just gonna fill in the tilt Republican here in a second. But as you can see, there's one from Alabama, one from Louisiana, and one from South Carolina. South Carolina, and by the way, that Tennessee seat is filled in. They signed that into law like a day or two ago. And by the way, the meltdowns there, the state capital, I mean, was hilarious too. And also Virginia's second. We're gonna fill those in here in a second. And I'll explain why. So again, you have South Carolina, which again they're moving on, redistricting that. James Clyburn, get rid of that House seat. The guy's a crazy person. It gave us Joe Biden. So as you can see, Republicans out the gate are at 214 House seats. And again, you include the House seats where Republicans, because again, Iowa's third, he seems to overperform. And Republicans have a buttload of money. And again, money isn't everything, but it definitely helps you a lot. And you put, Iowa's third. Let's say that John James, which again, his district's like, Trump plus 7. You put, that there. Boom, Republicans are at 216. And even it's like a blue wave year, the Senate race is becoming very interesting. I think Republicans could actually win the Senate race with Mike Rogers, because if Abdullah Syed's the nominee, I think it's probably tilt Republican, even if the turnout does not favor Republicans in midterms in Michigan, which is true. It's just like the candidates are just so egregious. And not to mention, it's a 3-way governorship. That might have some down ballot effects. It's becoming a mess for Democrats in Michigan. So again, you can say that'll be, tilt Republican, lean Republican. Then you put in Virginia second. Again, she's an overperformer. You give her a lot of money. You give her a lot of money, she can narrowly hold on. And again, you put up Mike Lawler in Tom King district, where again they have wins to tout about the SALT deduction tax. They could say, which by the way, to be fair, from the big beautiful bill signed back in July 4th of last year, Tom King and Mike Lawler are the main reasons why, and a couple other Republicans are the main reason why they got the SALT deduction. So they could tout that as a huge win, which will go very far. And some people say, well, New Jersey, and from 2025, therefore Tom King's guaranteed to lose. Here's the thing. Tom King is kind of going against a kind of a weak Democrat. Even like a blue wave year, I think he can hold on, even D+4, D+5. Number 2, the special election governorship late last year was record-breaking turnout. The Democrat governor won by 10 points. Here's the thing. Tom King's district went Democrat by like D+1, D+2. And it's like you had record-breaking turnout. I mean, it was insane in New Jersey last year. I'll give them that. And even then, his district was like D+1, D+2. I think he'll probably hold on. I mean, he could narrowly lose, but the Democrat opponent, to be fair, isn't that strong. And again, Republicans probably could hold on to maybe, I don't want to say the 7th, but they can maybe hold on to the 8th, potentially the 8th district, possibly. Again, I think Scott Perry, unfortunately, is probably going to lose, unfortunately. But the 8th, you can maybe hold on. Ohio's 9th, that could be a flip. Republicans got a decent candidate there. It's a Trump +4 seat, even though they could have made it into like a Trump +10. Same with the 13th, but Ohio dropped the ball. But Ohio's 9th, it could maybe go narrowly Republican. And again, this is not taking into account Louisiana possibly just going scorched earth and doing like a 6-0. Mississippi, which I think they're going to do. I think we're going to, because again, the special session back in late April, by like May 20th, they're going to have it. I think they could probably do one in Mississippi. Alabama, they might do 6-1 and maybe 7-0 in 2028. But let's say, just argument's sake, they do go scorched earth in the Deep South. Boom. Republicans are at 223 House seats. And again, this is not taking into account possibly maybe one of the Pennsylvania House seats holding. Some people might say the 34th. I think he'll probably hold on, unfortunately. I think he'll go down in 28. But I think he'll hold on this midterm. Maybe somehow, again, Republicans, and maybe Josh Shapiro only wins against Stacey Garrity, not by 15 points like he did in 22, but he wins by 7 or 8 points in this midterm to Stacey Garrity. Maybe somehow Republicans hold on to the 8th district somehow. Or maybe Iowa's third or Iowa's second. It's a Trump plus 10 seat, but the Republican candidate is not very good, but she tends to do better in off-year elections. Maybe somehow Republicans, even a D plus 4, D plus 5, maybe D, but not D plus 5, but maybe like D plus 3, D plus 4 year, maybe somehow she holds on, Mailer Meeks somehow holds on to Iowa's, first somehow. Or Wisconsin's third, which, the candidate won by like 2 points or 3 points in 24, even though it's Trump plus 8. And by the way, here's the thing too. Even if these go blue, these 2 districts here, they'll probably go back Republican. They're guaranteed to go back Republican in 2028 anyways, even if these 2 districts go blue. But as you can see, man, like this just looks awful for Dems. And even if you want to say Ohio doesn't go red and Pennsylvania, 8th goes blue, well, Republicans are at 212. And even you want to say, well, Republicans won't go scorched earth. Okay, they're basically at 219, nearly out the gate. Like out the gate, they're almost at 218. And even like worst case scenario, they're like 214 to 216 House seats. Realistic worst case scenario. And it's like, yeah. So Republicans have room. They can do it. And some people will say, well, the economy, gas prices, that, and the other, which is true. I'm not going to lie. That's definitely going to affect the midterms. But here's the thing. If Donald Trump's able to wrap up this war within like a month or two, and, it's like mid to late June, and like gas prices go down the next few months. I know this is optimistic, but stick with me. Let's say gas prices, because gas prices are around $4.80 per gallon to maybe $5. Let's say gas prices go down to, $3.60 per gallon by like October. The gas prices, yes, are still going to hurt Donald Trump and Republicans because it's still kind of high for sure. But compared to, $5 per gallon, $4.80 if you're lucky, yeah, night and day difference. And if the economy makes some marginal improvements, which it has, since, back since like January of 2025, it has seen improvements, even though it's still not, it's still sluggish. It's going to go a long way. And Donald Trump's approval rating is probably around 42, maybe at most 44%. But, excuse me, if Donald Trump starts in campaigning like he did in 24, which he's going to do, by the way, which is a very good thing, it's going to go a long way. And if Donald Trump's able to tout the wins on the campaign trail, he's able to tout the wins and set the narrative. His approval rating on a bad day will probably, even the economy's still kind of sluggish and gas prices are still kind of high, his approval rating on a bad day will probably be like, I don't know, 43, 44%, and maybe his ceiling's like 45 to 46%, which for Donald Trump is not bad whatsoever. So, especially in this day and age of polarization, how the media on the left is, especially with kind of a mediocre economy. So, I mean, even Trump's approval rating is like 42%. How the map is looking up, I don't see how Republicans really get crushed. Maybe at worst, Democrats are 225 seats, and they take North Carolina's Senate race with Roy Cooper, which even then it's like, wow, what a massive blue wave. You barely flip back the House, you barely flip a Senate seat. Wow. And again, Democrats again, before I end the video, Democrats have been hitting kind of a plateau with the generic ballot. Like, I think they're probably right now D+4, maybe at most D+5, but they're not getting like D+6, D+7, or D+8. Like, they're kind of hitting a wall, and they're not really improving. And I even the polls that show like D+6, D+7, I honestly think it's response bias because of the Iran war, and those polls tend to be awful. So, yeah. As the election gets closer and the polls tighten, as Republicans spend money, and when they have a buttload of money, yeah, the Democrats can go from D+5 to D+3 real quick. So, yeah, I mean, there's things. The midterms are far from over. Like, I think this is at worst for Republicans a 50-50 at worst. As long as there isn't a economic recession and gas prices aren't like $6 plus per gallon in like the state of Michigan, for example, and gas prices go down to at most it's at worst by October at worst like $3 and maybe 80 cents per gallon. It's like, and there is an economic recession. I don't see how Republicans just get blown out. It's like 40 House seats like they did in 2018. So yeah, I think Republicans at worst, realistically 50-50, they have a shot. They have a clear pathway, even if it's not easy. They have a pathway to uphold the House and still uphold Trump's legacy, and Donald Trump won't be a lame duck 2-year president. Like, the guy does not deserve it, especially the incredible comeback he had in 24. So, anyways, guys, this is the True Red Politician. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and see you guys next time. Later.